So recently I came across a comment which I expect to be from a person who is not a black African person, and it wasn't the only comment saying that like we should stop acting as if Africans didn't start slavery because these guys were selling each other, and raising the question of, did Africans start slavery by selling each other? So when speaking of slavery, one big detail which we forget is determining exactly the time and the place of the slavery we're talking about. But I think when speaking of the slavery of black people, the most common which you might be speaking about is the transatlantic slavery, which this slavery happened in the 15th century, taking black people, Africans, from the west side of Africa to the other continents, passing through the Atlantic Ocean to the continent of America. And the first recorded one is from the Portuguese, who kidnapped people from the kingdom of today's Congo and Angola, which is on the west side coast of Africa, literally at the Atlantic Ocean, to take them to America. And the ships in which they took them were in the most horrible conditions that most of them couldn't even make it to America. But if we really forget this transatlantic slavery stuff, this is not the time when slavery actually started. Slavery have been there for thousands of years before, and was just practiced between any population which could seem powerful more than their neighbor. They could literally walk upon others and force them to abide to their rules, force them to work, building the pyramids, building Rome, or building any society in the world. Most powerful kingdoms would literally take the lower ones to make the lower work for the most powerful, and that is considered as slavery. But if we're speaking of that, we might say literally didn't start in Africa. But then what about the transatlantic slavery, which literally happened? And it's so clear also, and it's known that some African kingdoms were literally selling other African kingdoms in order to make money or to get some precious items which they could get from the Europeans. But again, the reality which hits here is that this was the first slavery which was literally based on race. And in this slavery, the people of what is considered as the black color skin were seen not as human but as commodities, which makes that they could be packed, shipped, and sold in a different continent, not as humans but as commodities which could be used to build countries, work in plantation, whatever it may be. But again, for this case, Africans didn't start any slavery which was based on the color skin. All they did was, if you're powerful more than the other kingdom, you can take people from that kingdom and sell them. But actually, again, another detail is that after a time, there was a time that there was no longer anyone selling to anyone, that the Europeans literally had to force, lie, and kidnap people in order to take them into slavery. Once again, this also wasn't started by Africans. But in all, if you can just see it in the proper way, I feel like claiming that Africans started the slavery or were selling each other in Africa, it's just a way of saying it's okay for the Europeans to do the slavery since you guys already started it actually. Thanks so much for being here, and catch you next time. Hey, my name is Bertin, and I'm sharing 100 real stories about events which happened in Africa. And if you want to know more about them, follow or subscribe.